If you've been on social media lately, you've probably heard of the rumors surrounding Vinted. If you don't know what Vinted is like a marketplace app similar to Facebook Marketplace, eBay, or Mercari, but the rumor is that children are being sold on Vinted. The reason why people believe this is because people have found very strange listings of a plush or just a kid's toy in general, or sometimes it's not even a kid's toy, something else like an AC remote, either selling for an extremely high price point or a description that says things like the age of something, the color of something, sometimes it says doesn't bite, sometimes it says used to it, sometimes it even says tight. It's either one or the other, or sometimes it's both. And also there is a screenshot of a message exchange between a seller and a buyer where the seller just outright says like, yeah, we're selling a child. If you're curious on how this all started, basically this whole rumor started on the German/French side of TikTok, to which then the French authorities got involved, and that made it become a bigger thing. Now people are taking this rumor as fact, like this is true, this is something that is happening, children are being trafficked and sold through Vinted. But I decided to actually look into this and research this topic and see if there's any validity behind these claims, and in my personal opinion, I feel like there is not enough evidence to suggest that children are being trafficked and sold through Vinted. Now let me explain to you why I feel this way. First off, plenty of people who are more qualified than me have said this is false. Vinted itself said that they found no criminal activity going on here, which I know a lot of people would question the validity of like the company that says they investigated themselves and found no wrongdoing. Like, no shit, you found no wrongdoing. You investigated yourself. But the German police found no wrongdoing, as well as many other journalists and people who are more qualified than me have also said that there's no credible evidence to suggest that children are being sold through Vinted. Now let's talk about the screenshot between a buyer and a seller of one of these listings. This is one that's been circulating a lot lately, and is only one out of the two actual cases I saw of someone DMing one of these sellers. The other one was a journalist or the police, I don't remember exactly. They found out that the person that they were talking to was actually a 17-year-old predator catcher who's using this as a way to lure predators and, you know, expose them. That case and this screenshot is the only one I saw of people actually messaging these sellers. But for this one, just think realistically for a second. Why would a child trafficker outright say that they are selling children? That doesn't make sense, right? And you know what makes less sense? Saying it on Vinted. It's not an encrypted message. It's not something like Telegram, which is more private and encrypted. No, if anyone wants to, they can fucking see these messages. And also, you have to provide ID and banking information on Vinted. If you just admit you're selling children on Vinted, you're gonna get caught. So either this child trafficker is new to the game and is a massive fucking idiot who doesn't realize what they're doing, or the seller is just trolling the buyer. Let me put it this way, right? If you still believe this, right? Imagine you're a pedophile. Hang with me here, right? Stay locked in. Imagine if you're a pedophile. Would you go out in public and tell someone face to face, yes, I am a pedophile? Would you do that? Apply that same logic to this screenshot. It doesn't make sense. It just logically does not make sense. Let's talk about these listings now. First, I want to talk about just the listings with very high price. Just because something is priced super high doesn't automatically mean that something nefarious is going on, that a child is being trafficked and sold, which is a wild jump, by the way. That is an extreme jump. Oh, this item is being sold for super high? Well, I guess they're trafficking a child. There's actually a lot of very common practices on these marketplaces that involve high pricing. Like, for example, if a seller is going away for a while and doesn't want anyone to try to buy this item while they're away, they'll price it super high so no one can buy it. Or an item isn't available anymore, but they still want to keep the listing up, they'll just price it really high so they keep the listing up, but no one's gonna buy it. Those two things are extremely common. I have personally seen them a lot going through different marketplaces. Now let's talk about the rest of these listings that involve the very disgusting and disturbing description. Now, a common thing I noticed between all these screenshots is that the majority of them say uploaded just now, uploaded minutes ago, or at most uploaded an hour ago. Now, seeing a couple of those in the group of screenshots, that would just be a coincidental thing. However, the majority of these screenshots have something like that, which to me, that's not a coincidence. That's a pattern, which means the people who are screenshotting this, screenshotting it immediately after or very shortly after a listing is created, which to me questions the, you know, the validity, if that's the right word here, of these screenshots. Because most of these screenshots, I can't find the origins of, I can't find who originally did this. I'm not going to just say these screenshots are fake because I don't know. However, that is a very important thing to mention, because another important thing to mention is that these accounts are created at the exact same time these listings are put out. After moments or minutes, or at most an hour, the listing gets taken down and the account gets deleted, which I think is a very strange and weird pattern. Like, as if there's enough time for someone to screenshot the listing or share the listing and then the listing gets taken down. As well as realistically, why would child traffickers be this open and this obvious about trafficking children? And why would a child trafficker sell a child for $3 or $4? There's listings that have these disturbing descriptions and a price point of just a few dollars. That doesn't compute. That doesn't make any sense. There's just not enough credible evidence to suggest that children are being trafficked and sold through Vinted. People who are way smarter than me also agree with this statement. I personally believe these are just troll joke postings. This is the perfect example of deja vu, because this happened 6 years ago with Wayfair. If you remember back in 2020, a rumor went around that Wayfair is being used to sell children. The reason why people believe that is because there was some furniture that was selling for an extremely high price point and had very strange names. Notice the similarities here? Notice the similarities. And you want to know what happened with Wayfair? It was confirmed fake. There was no credible evidence to suggest that Wayfair was being used to traffic children. And some of the missing children that they tried to connect to this were already found. They weren't missing anymore. The Wayfair situation is the exact thing that's happening now with Vinted. Except now it's just jumped ship. Now I know some people in the comment section are going to mention the fact that Wayfair was mentioned in the Epstein files. Yes, it was mentioned in the Epstein files. Does not look good for Wayfair. But the reason why they were mentioned in the Epstein files is because Jeffrey Epstein bought furniture off Wayfair. That's it. That is all that it is. You could look it up. As a matter of fact, I have it pulled up right here. Hold on. Let me show you this. Fuck. Here it is. This is the official thing. He spent $8,453. We can see he also canceled this order, and you can see exactly what he canceled and what he bought. Wayfair being the Epstein files does not mean they actually traffic children, because the evidence is here. I'm looking directly at the evidence that proves that that is not true. I know people who believe this rumor, their heart's in the right place, right? They want to protect the children. I understand that. However, the common sentiment I see involving this is, first off, people are just not looking too deep into this and just taking everything as fact. If anyone even questions these type of rumors, they automatically get labeled predators, creeps, weirdos, child traffickers, all of this disgusting shit, which is just a horrible mentality to have regarding this situation. You should not just believe that this is 100% true. If anyone dares question it, they're a bad person. That is not the mentality you should have regarding situations like this. I see people, even after this has been confirmed to be false, people saying like, oh, well, it's better to be safe than sorry. But the issue with that mindset, even after you already know that this is verifiably false, is that it takes away resources from survivors of human trafficking. Promoting these types of rumors, even after they confirm false, does nothing but harm the people you are trying to save or trying to protect. So please, just do your research on this type of stuff. Don't just take everything you say as factual. Actually look into this stuff. There are real cases of people selling CSAM on these marketplace sites. Those are real things that do happen. But however, focusing on these rumors don't help anything, and in fact make it more difficult to deal with real cases. But yeah, that's been my talk on the whole Vinted situation. But yeah, like and subscribe please. Thank you. All right, bye.